Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. It is hot, it is early. I have not had any caffeine yet today, so bear with me. I'm already sweating. I probably should not have turned the AC off in the car as I was reading some stuff on social media. But we are here in Okahumpka, Florida. I love the name of this town. I believe it's a Native American name, if I'm not mistaken. But the reason why we are out here today is to talk about a little bit of history revolving around this town. Some civil rights history from a real life superhero and some DC comic books history from a fictional superhero. So perhaps you are familiar with the DC comic books series known as Static. Now, I never really read a lot of comic books growing up, but I did watch a heck of a lot of TV growing up as a kid, and I loved the kids WB show called Static Shock, all based on the African-American DC comic books teen superhero known as Static. I used to watch that show all the time. So if you are familiar with the character of Static, whether you read the comic books or watched the show or maybe both, then you're probably familiar with the character's actual secret identity. Of course, he went by Static. That was his superhero name. That's what all the people knew him by, but his friends and his family knew him by his secret identity, his real life name of Virgil Hawkins. And I want to show you guys something here in the town of Okahumpka. Take a look at this. Are you ready? This is Virgil Hawkins Circle. Now you might be thinking, wow, did the town actually name a street after the DC comic books superhero? And the answer is no. No, they did not. This is the name of a real life superhero, a civil rights, an African-American civil rights superhero who lived in this town and in and around the area known as Virgil Hawkins, because that was his actual name. His name was Virgil Hawkins, and there is a monument for him right here. Attorney Virgil Darnell Hawkins, born in 1906, passed away in 1988, Florida and Okahumpka's civil rights pioneer. May his personal sacrifices, which desegregate Florida's universities and provide legal assistance to those in need, inspire future generations. Look at that, standing outside of the gates of the University of Florida, because Virgil Darnell Hawkins, he wanted to be a lawyer. He grew up watching people in the area, African-American people in the area, get the short end of the stick when it came to the law. Many of them were uneducated, did not really know what was going on, and of course, white people living in the area, they would do everything they could to bring down the African-American community, especially when it came to the courts. They really wouldn't win very many court cases because they would use the uneducatedness of a lot of African-Americans in the area and whatnot to bring them down. They couldn't get proper legal representation and whatnot. So Virgil here, he grew up seeing all this and said, I want to be a lawyer. I want to grow up to be a lawyer who can represent the African-American community and help them out, give them proper legal counsel, and help them win court cases as they should. But unfortunately, because we were in Florida, he was in Florida, this is Florida, back in the early 1900s, there were Jim Crow laws and segregation, and African-American people were definitely not treated very well. It's supposed to be equal, but we're separate but equal or whatever. But that never really was a thing. So when he tried to actually become a lawyer, Florida turned him down. They said, no, you can't go to the college and get your degree. You cannot actually become a lawyer. So in 1949, he fought this. Him and the Supreme Court fought this, and they actually eventually did end up winning. And the Supreme Court said, you have to let him become you have to let him go to the college so he could become a lawyer. But of course, Florida still came up with reasons why that wasn't going to work, and they still did not let him become a lawyer and go to college to become a lawyer. but I believe it was in the 1950s or 60s, he eventually did end up getting to go to school and became a lawyer. And in the 1970s, I believe, is when he actually became a lawyer. He was allowed to be on the bar and take his bar exam and whatnot, even though Florida tried to say like, well, the college you went to get your degree, they were unaccredited and we're not going to accept your application to be on the bar and whatnot. But again, the Supreme Court said, no, you got to let him on. So he eventually did end up becoming a lawyer. Unfortunately, by that time, a lot of time had passed. He hadn't really gone to school since then, and he was working on his own. So the whole lawyer thing did not work out too well at that point, due to the fact that, again, a lot of time had passed. He was pretty old at the time. I believe he was in his 60s when he finally became a lawyer. And again, he was working on his own, and he hadn't had any proper legal schooling in a while, so things didn't really work out so well. But that's not the point. The point is he paved the way for other African Americans here in Florida and down south to become lawyers and to help out their African American community, the people who were being put down and who weren't being given proper legal representation and whatnot in the courts. He paved the way for more African Americans to become lawyers and to help out their African American community. And he lived right here in Okahumpka, Florida. His house was right around here somewhere. I don't know if it still stands. From what I could read online, I couldn't find any information on whether or not his house is still standing or not. Apparently it was right around here somewhere. The school he attended was actually right down the road. The actual school itself is not there anymore, but the school that replaced it is there. So it's a very historical school that's down there as well. It was a segregated African-American school for African-American children living here in the area. So really awesome, really cool historical school right down the road that I was going to drive you guys down to see, but it's actually all fenced off at the moment because they're in the process of renovating it and opening up to the public, which is really awesome. So unfortunately, we cannot really take a look at it, but I wanted to bring you guys out here to show you the real life superhero who the DC comic books superhero is actually named after. That is so cool. That is really, really neat that the creators of this fictional comic book superhero known as Static, they named him after this man right here, a pioneer for civil rights, who a lot of people do not know about. Not exactly one of the most famous civil rights pioneers out there, but they named him after this man right here. So I had to come out here to take a look at this, to take a look at Virgil Hawkins Circle here in Okahumpka, Florida, and see the street named after the man, see the actual plaque here for the man. This is cool. Pretty awesome. Not awesome what he had to go through, obviously. We still have issues like this in the United States, unfortunately. You would think all this time has passed, things would be better. They are slightly, but definitely not 100% better, unfortunately. And that's why we need plaques like this. That's why we need monuments like this. That's why we need streets like this. And that's why we need DC comic books superheroes, African-American DC comic book superheroes named after people like this. So you don't forget things like this, and you can remember things like this, and you can look up the history of things like this. I had no idea who Virgil Darnell Hawkins was until I did a little bit of research on the character of Static Shock and found this out. And I'm so happy that I learned about this, because we need history like this to be remembered. So it hopefully doesn't repeat itself. It still somewhat continues to, but hopefully things will continue to get better. I mean, things have gotten better. African Americans can now become lawyers and whatnot, and all because of one man who paved the way for African Americans down south and all over the United States to become lawyers and to help out the African American community. Very awesome. Very, very cool. Virgil Darnell Hawkins right there. That is him. Civil rights pioneer. Florida's and Okahumpka's civil rights pioneer. Very, very cool. So comments down below if you read the comic book Static Shock, the comic books or Static. If you're familiar with the DC comic book superhero, Static. If you read the Static comic books, or maybe you saw the animated show like I did, Static Shock. If you grew up watching that or grew up with both of them, leave your comments down below. And were you aware that the name, the actual secret identity of Static, that he was actually named after this man right here, this famous Florida civil rights pioneer? Leave your comments down below. I want to hear from you guys. But all right, it is hot. I'm sweating. I thought when I came, I was up north and all my friends down here said, oh, the humidity's going away. And I was so happy. I think the humidity just went away for the 2 weeks I was gone, and it's all back now. It is very, very warm. It's like 9:30 in the morning right now, and I'm a sweaty pile of goo. So I'm gonna get back in the van and head back home, get back into the air conditioning. But again, just wanted to bring you guys out here to see this Virgil Hawkins circle, and the man right there himself, Virgil Hawkins, the man who the famous DC comic books superhero is actually named after. Pretty awesome. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it. So, as always, thank you all so much for checking out this video. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check down below for links to Patreon, check down below for links to Spreadshirt, hit the join button to become a member of this channel to gain early access to all of my videos. And if you guys watch this video all the way until the very end, let's just do hashtag Virgil Hawkins. Hashtag Virgil Hawkins. If you guys watch this show, watch this episode, watch this video, I need to start drinking caffeine before I do these videos. It's too early, I am too hot, and I am too parched and uncaffeinated. Hashtag Virgil Hawkins if you guys watch this video all the way until the very end. But all right, guys, again, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you do hit that subscribe button or you are subscribed, then I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. All right, bye.